Welcome to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, founder of the Reiki Business Collective and creator of the Build Your Reiki Business program, sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Greetings, welcome, and thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. I'm Christian of Standing Stones Healing, and yes, I am honored to have you here yet again for this week's episode. This week, we're talking about focus. Focus for your Reiki business. Now, focus is so important on our Reiki business journey and in our Reiki business. And in this episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about focus on both the micro level and the macro level. So the small picture level and the big picture level. Now, on my Reiki business journey, I personally have had varying experiences with focus, being in focus, being out of focus, being focused, and being not so focused. So I will talk about those and share those with you as well. Now, focus is something that I have personally been thinking about all year because focus is my word of the year. Every year I choose, well, not every year for the past several years, I have chosen a word of the year. And I chose my word for this year as focus because last year, in my Reiki business, I had a lot of moments of not being focused. Truth be told, that lack of focus at many times throughout my Reiki business journey last year was because of my cats. Let me tell you, these cats have been the number one productivity killer in my Reiki business and have been the number one source of distraction and a lack of focus in my Reiki business. And so throughout 2023, for those who don't know, I took in a stray cat and her two kittens in November of 2022. I did not have any cats prior to that. I do love cats, but I wasn't looking for any cats until this very sweet stray cat that was living under my neighbor's shed started coming to my back door. And of course, I started feeding her. I'm not kidding you. I looked out the door one day in, I believe it was August. She was sitting, staring in through my back door screen, and just pretty much looking like, well, pal, here I am. Are you going to help me out? And so, of course, I helped her out. Then she brought along her two kittens one day in November. I brought them all inside. They've been here ever since. But throughout 2023, it was a massive adjustment time for me, for sure, with 3 new cats, 2 of which were kittens. And so throughout 2023, I had a lot of distraction in my Reiki business when I was at home working, whether it was recording an episode of the podcast or creating a course or meeting with my online clients. I had a lot of distractions going on. And so I resolved for 2024, I need more focus. And my word of the year needs to be focus. And I need to get more focused with these cats around. Even right now, I will reveal that the said stray kitty that came to my back door is sitting on my lap because every time I go to sit down to record a podcast, she has to get up from her sleep and come see me. And so for me on my Reiki business journey, the word focus means not being so distracted by the cats and not allowing them to take me away from the tasks at hand. I secretly believe that this may actually be part of the larger plan. Obviously, the universe brought me these cats for a reason, and my guides maybe just thought that I needed a little bit more distraction in my life. But perhaps you can understand where I'm coming from with this idea of wanting to get down to business on your Reiki business and getting started, but then you've got the distractions and the lack of focus coming in. And maybe for you, it's not cats. Maybe for you, it's kids or your work, your job that you might have in addition to any Reiki business that you are operating or want to start. Maybe it comes in the form of dings and bells and whistles going off on your phone or your computer. Whatever that form of distraction might take, it's really challenging for us then to find focus and to get focused on our Reiki business journey. Now, if you find yourself having a harder time focusing than you used to, you are not alone and you are not imagining things. I talk a little bit about this in an episode a couple of weeks ago called Slowing Down. And we as a culture have so many distractions embedded into our culture. And indeed, the distractions in many ways are purposeful. And so, for instance, if you think of social media and how when we get on social media, we can get really distracted and we can lack focus. That's actually by design. So if you find yourself getting onto social media and losing focus or losing track of time, that's not you. Billions of dollars have gone into designing social media so that you lose track of time, so that you lose your focus while you are on social media. So it's not you, it's part of the plan. And so if you are finding yourself challenged to stay focused, not just on social media, but in other ways in your life, this is indeed by design, because something like the ways in which we interact on social media have a way of bleeding or infiltrating into the rest of our lives and other aspects of our lives. If you look at something like television. Now, I personally don't have a television. I haven't had one since college. I got out of the habit of watching TV in college, and I've never had TV since. But I don't even have a TV anymore, period. I used to have one just to watch movies, and I haven't had a TV for I don't even know how many years now. But many times when we watch TV, we are endlessly flipping the channels, trying to find something. It's almost like a social media scroll in a way, right? And so even, if you look at something like TV, where we are very unfocused when we are sitting in front of the television, flipping back and forth, very similar to social media. And so social media is not the first kind of media in which we have found ourselves being distracted and challenged with focus, but indeed it is becoming more pronounced. So when it comes to focus on our Reiki business journey, we can look at it on that micro level of, oh gosh, I just feel so unfocused in terms of maybe like the daily or even weekly kinds of tasks that we might have in our Reiki business, or the challenge with sitting down and I really want to write an article, for instance, but you get into the article and then you just find yourself getting distracted. You can't focus on the article, and it's just really challenging for you to stay on task. That's one kind of challenge with focus on our Reiki business journey. And I want to offer some encouragement for this daily kind of challenge with focus. Some things that have helped me, besides getting rid of the cats, which I have not done yet, Every time I fantasize about it, they are just too cute and too sweet to kick out. But some things that have worked for me are that I will limit distractions purposefully. So let's say, for instance, that I'm working on my forthcoming book, Reiki Business Ready. What I'll do is that I will log out of all of everything, all social media, all everything, minimize the internet, and be focusing solely on that document and be working only on that document and not allowing anything to interrupt that time. I'm really fortunate in that I do have a lot of experience and practice with lots of focused work time and many hours of very focused work time, all through my college coursework, my graduate coursework, working in higher education, teaching, and all of those things. I have a lot of practice and experience of getting rid of distractions, minimizing distractions, and focusing very intentionally and purposefully on a particular task for a half hour, an hour at a time, sometimes even longer. You don't have to do that. And so if you're thinking, oh, I would love to just be able to sit down and bust out a whole bunch of social media posts all in one sitting. But, oh gosh, I can't sit for an hour. I can't think on one thing for an hour. Definitely that's okay. I'm a major proponent of working in 20-minute chunks because 20 minutes is a great amount of time to be able to accomplish some things and to get some things done without it taking a whole, 20 minutes is not a whole lot of time when we really think about it and break it down, but 20 minutes really adds up. And so if you could spend, for instance, 20 minutes over the course of 4 days working on your posts, that's really going to take you quite far rather than trying to sit down and work for an hour and a half to produce all of your social media posts all at one time. So I believe that working in chunks can be really helpful. I also am a big proponent of purposefully minimizing distractions just across the board in our lives, even when we're not intentionally focusing on one particular task at hand. And so I do this by, my phone is always on silent. So if someone were to call me right now, I would have no idea. My phone's on silent. I won't hear it when it rings. I won't hear a ding when I get a text message. I eliminate the sounds of my phone. And so I only know if someone has called or texted if I actually pick up my phone and look at it. This has gone a great way for me in just really helping to foster a nice, calm, and quiet, peaceful kind of living situation. I mean, besides the cats, of course. But it's really gone a long way. I have done this for years and just find it to be very helpful. I don't use my phone as an alarm. I don't sleep with my phone in my bedroom. It stays out in the kitchen. It's there in the kitchen all of the time. When I'm at home is where it stays. And so just turning off the sounds, or if you get notifications from apps on your phone, I personally don't. I don't get Facebook notifications on my phone. I don't use social media on my phone, but I don't get notifications. I don't use apps on my phone. And I do this in order to really minimize all of those distractions and to be more intentional. That's really what focus is all about, is about being intentional. Focus is really about being purposeful. And so when we find ourselves challenged with being focused, we really want to ask ourselves if maybe the real challenge is that we need to be more intentional and that we need to be more purposeful. Because if we have an idea of what it is that we want to do, say, for instance, busting out those social media posts, but we just can't seem to get ourselves collected to do it, I think it's important for us to ask ourselves what our challenges are with getting to that point, and are we approaching it with intention? You know, turning off notifications, keeping my phone in the kitchen, keeping it on silent, those are really examples of how we can use our environment to help us focus, because so often our environment is working against us in terms of the focus, whatever that might be within our environment. And so I encourage you, as you are exploring wanting potentially to be more focused in your Reiki business, to ask yourself how your environment is hindering your focus and how your environment is working against you actively in that focus. And even to ask yourself how you can set up your environment to really help you to stay focused. Now, as far as focus on the macro, big picture level, that's also really important on our Reiki business journey. But before I talk about the big picture, macro level focus on our Reiki business journey, I want to make sure to remind you that the Reiki Business Summit is coming up in November. So I want to get focused here for a minute and talk about the Reiki Business Summit and make sure that you know that coming up in November, 22nd to the 25th, is the live online Reiki Business Summit with speakers talking all about Reiki business topics, things like how to be visible in your Reiki business, how to get new clients, how to collaborate, all kinds of important topics that you won't want to miss. In addition to plenty of time to connect live with the speakers, with the other summit attendees for discussions and networking as well. It's going to be a very powerful, very inspiring 4 days. I hope that you will join us. Please do check it out at standingstoneshealing.com/summit. Yes, the link is down below. But for me on my Reiki business journey, one thing that I've really been focusing on lately is that summit and getting things organized for the summit, promoting the summit, and doing a lot of work for the summit. And so it's taken a lot of focus for me to sit down and get that taken care of, get that done, get that organized, and get the summit out into the world. And so when we are focused in our Reiki business on the daily tasks, so on the daily level, it really helps us on the larger level. If I wasn't able to bring focus to my daily Reiki business tasks, I would have a really hard time organizing something big like the Reiki Business Summit. It would be, in many ways, a mess. Fortunately, it's not a mess. It's all organized, all well organized, and it is going to be a wonderful 4 days. But if I didn't have the focus on a micro level, I wouldn't be able to make things happen on the macro level, the big picture level in my Reiki business. And it's the big picture level that really moves our Reiki business forward, being able to do things on the big picture level so that the micro focus on focus really moves us forward with the macro level focus in our Reiki business. Now, here's the thing. On our Reiki business journey, we are going to have times when we're not focused. One of those times where we're really going to have trouble with the big picture focus is during the first few years of our Reiki business. Now, I do have another forthcoming book in the works. First, I got to finish the first one, but another book on the way on helping you to really navigate the first 3 years of your Reiki business, to know what to expect and to know how to manage those beginning stages of your Reiki business. And one of the truths at the beginning of your Reiki business is that you're going to feel unfocused. You're going to feel a lack of focus. You're going to want to do a bunch of different things. You're going to want to take your business in a bunch of directions, and you're often going to feel like your Reiki business doesn't have real direction. I really want to encourage you that this is completely normal. And so if you're at the beginning of your Reiki business journey and you're feeling unfocused on a big picture level, know that that is just so normal, and that's part of the experience and part of the journey. That kind of a lack of focus often will work itself out. I could say so much more about it, but just know that if you're feeling a lack of focus on the big picture level with your Reiki business, you're not alone. That's completely normal. That's a natural and expected part of starting your Reiki business journey. So definitely be kind and gentle to yourself as you are feeling that lack of focus. You know, I had one student refer to it as just feeling like there are squirrels everywhere. Yes, absolutely. If you feel like there are squirrels everywhere, it's okay. You're not alone, and that's part of the experience. One of the challenges is that big picture lack of focus really contributes to a daily lack of focus in terms of the daily tasks and what you might want to accomplish. Because when we don't have that big picture focus, that vision of the direction that we want to move in, it can be really hard for us to prioritize our time and to focus in on the things that are most important for us to be working on. So know that even though it's part of the journey to have a challenge with that bigger picture focus, it also contributes to the micro level challenges with focus too. So just know that that is going to be a part of the Reiki business journey for you for sure, both micro and macro levels. But this challenge with focus on the macro level can really come at any time on our Reiki business journey. So it's not confined to those first 3 years, even though the beginning stages really are where it happens the most. But anytime we come to a reflection point on our Reiki business journey, maybe we want to bring in some new product, some new kind of service, maybe we want to try something different, we can have that uncertainty over focus, where to focus, what to focus on, and on the big picture level, which then influences that smaller daily type of picture and how we spend our time on a daily or weekly or monthly basis. And so getting focused on the big picture really does help us to get focused on the smaller tasks at hand. For instance, if I didn't have a bigger vision for my Reiki Business Ready book that's coming out, I might have a hard time focusing on it on a daily level to get it done. If I didn't have some larger focus, some larger vision pulling me forward with that book and a way, a focus, a specific way in which that fits into my Reiki business and intention and purpose behind it, then I might be challenged. I would probably be challenged to get it done because I wouldn't have a larger reason behind it. I wouldn't have a larger focus behind it. And so that larger focus on our Reiki business journey really does contribute to the daily focus as well. Now, if you are challenged with that larger focus kind of idea of, what's the direction that I want to move my Reiki business in, of course, I really encourage on some level simply going with the flow and seeing what unfolds and develops, especially when you are newer on your Reiki business journey, to explore the avenues and explore the paths, because you don't know what might come up from that exploration and where it might lead your Reiki business. I think that often we can find on our Reiki business journey, we travel down one path that's maybe kind of a tangent to our focus in our Reiki business, and we end up changing our focus because of it. We find that down this path, maybe the work is more fulfilling, maybe it's more engaging, maybe it resonates more deeply with us, and it just feels more in alignment. And so that exploration can lead us to change our focus on our Reiki business journey. Of course, this happened for me with my focus now on Reiki business. I wasn't always focused on Reiki business in my Reiki business. Of course not. It's just something that came organically as I walked my Reiki business journey, as I moved down that path, as more and more of my clients were asking about Reiki business things, as more and more Reiki business questions were coming up, as more and more clients were asking me for my help with their Reiki business or other kinds of businesses too, from other spiritual kinds of businesses. And so it's just the kind of thing that my focus shifted slowly over time. And then there came a point where it was just like, I'm switching the focus and putting my focus here in my Reiki business, because this is where I really feel called, where I'm really able to help, where I'm really able to serve Reiki practitioners and our community on a deeper level. Now, of course, changing the focus in my Reiki business was not without its challenges and not without its impacts on other aspects of my Reiki business, that's for sure. And so, much like when we sit down at our computer to bust out a bunch of social media posts and we need to minimize the other tabs, it's the same thing in our Reiki business. When we choose to focus on a larger picture level on one area of our Reiki business, then it needs to come at the expense of other areas of our Reiki business, because we can only do so much. We like to think as human beings that we're really good at multitasking, but that's actually not so true as we think it is. And so when we think that we're good multitaskers and we're able to do multiple things at once, it's not true. What we're really doing is just simply rapidly switching our focus from one task to another. And it much more frequently results in a lack of focus and not doing any one of those tasks as well as we might if we were giving it our full undivided attention. And so, are you challenged to focus in your Reiki business? Are you having challenges focusing on your Reiki business journey? What are your challenges to your focus, whether on a micro daily kind of level for your Reiki business or on the macro larger kind of level? Join us in the Reiki Business Collective Facebook group and tell us all about it at facebook.com/groups/Reiki Biz. If you're on YouTube, drop it down below for us in the comments. If you are tuning in on the podcast on Spotify, let us know what you think as well. Well, I know I'm honored to have you here with me. I appreciate your focus so very much. And of course, as always, I'm sending lots of blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business. Thanks for tuning in to the Build Your Reiki Business podcast. Please like, share, subscribe, and send to a friend. Learn more about the Build Your Reiki Business program at standingstoneshealing.com/build. Sending blessings and best wishes to your Reiki business.